Hello everyone, welcome to the Let's Integrate video series where we will discuss an integration scenario that's done in real-time business in Dynamics 365 and Power Platform projects. It could vary from simple to complex integration. Integration could be within the Microsoft product suite, or it could be with any third-party applications as well. In every episode, we invite a special guest to share their experience about an integration scenario that they work with, so that it could help everyone. So, we discuss 3 key points in every episode. Firstly, what is the integration is going to about, where a briefing of the integration use case is shared. Secondly, how it helped the business or how it added value to their project. Well, ideally it covers the problems that the integration solved. Then, briefing about how it is done, where the guest will brief about the details of it at a high level. Finally, as an add-on, a guest might enlighten us by showing a quick demo if possible. Let's jump into the action and start with our today's episode. In this episode, we have Dharanidharan Balasubramaniam from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Dharani is a senior technical lead. He's also leading the community in Kuala Lumpur and also one of the community leads in ASEAN's BizApps user group. He is quite active in other communities as well, speaking in several sessions, and he is quite known for his course and videos on ALM, using the ALM in Power Platform. Hello Dharani, thanks for joining today. Such a pleasure to have you in today's episode. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Shiva, and thanks a lot for inviting me to your session today.
It's my pleasure, Dharani. It's absolutely my pleasure to have you here. So I think you already know what is the Let's Integrate video series is about. I believe you saw the previous episode with Paul. And so come on, without further ado, so what do you have today for us? So what is the integration use case you are going to share with us today?
Today, I wish to share one of the integration scenario which I have worked on one of my project. So that is nothing but the integration between the Dynamics 365 CE and the IBM Maximo tool.
IBM Maximo. So could you please give some introduction about what is IBM Maximo?
Sure, Shiva. IBM Maximo tool is nothing but an asset management tool developed by an IBM. So over there, we'll be able to create cases and whether we'll be able to keep track of all the assets into the system, the complete organization assets, all those things we'll be able to organize it over there, manage it over there. And my customer was using both the tools actually, the Dynamics 365 CE and also the IBM Maximo one. And in both the places, they were creating the service request, and their main requirement was to whenever the case gets created in the either system, it should flow between both the systems, the inbound and outbound, both the flow should be there. That was the primary requirement of our customer. That is how this integration piece has started.
That's interesting. So IBM Maximo is also used to capture cases, and its primary purpose is to maintain the assets. But I believe in customer engagement, you're also using the customer service module to capture the cases. So would you please give some clarity on what scenario the customer is using Maximo and what scenario they're using customer engagement?
Sure, with pleasure, Shiva. So this customer is mainly a public utility customer, and the people, the end user will be the people. And if they are facing any problem with the drainage, or if the road is blocked, or if they are encountering any of the public problem, they will raise a request from the SharePoint portal, and the request will get into the Dynamics 365 CE. Whereas the organization is having certain inspectors and certain field inspectors, all those people, they will visit the field, and if they find any problem, and they will directly case into the IBM Maximo tool. But whereas few of the cases will left with the IBM Maximo tool and few of the cases left with the Dynamics 365 CE. But we need to sync both the places should be in a common sync actually. That's the reason the integration came into the picture, and we have completely integrated actually. So whenever the case gets created into the Dynamics 365 CE, the same case within some time it will flow into the IBM Maximo tool. The similar way, whenever the case gets created into the IBM Maximo tool, it will get created into the Dynamics 365 CE. Not only about the creation part, even the updation part also the same thing. So if the case gets updated in both the ways, it will sync in both the places.
Got it. Got it. So the public, I can understand based on your information, it's for some kind of government or some agency. So the any end users like public, the people over there, they use the SharePoint and that flows into the Dynamics, right? So if I'm not wrong,
Exactly.
they will be then all the information will be consolidated into the Dynamics, and then I believe that I mean, the dynamics will be used by the service team to follow up with that cases, if I'm not wrong, right?
Exactly. Exactly, Jiva. You are right.
Ah, okay, interesting. So let's see in the action how it is built.
Sure. Let me quickly share my screen. Before briefing the introduction, I wish to give a small bit introduction about myself. Myself, Dharanidharan Balasubramaniam. I am from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I am working as a senior technical lead in Exchanging Malaysia, and I am leading the KL Business Applications User Group. And also, I am one of the community lead in Asia's Business Applications User Group. On the screen, I am flashing all my contact details: LinkedIn, blog, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you have any queries related to this integration piece or related to the ALM stuff, please feel free to contact me. I'm always happy and glad to assist you on your queries.
So you're also MCT.
Yeah, yes, I'm certified I'm a Microsoft certified trainer too.
Ah, that's nice. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
please.
So this is the case management from the Dynamics 365 to IBM Maximo. So this is a two-way communication. So inbound and outbound, both the things are there. So the Dynamics 365 CE to IBM Maximo, and the either way, the IBM Maximo to Dynamics 365. First, let me cover the Dynamics 365 CE to IBM Maximo. So here, whenever the user triggers any action in the Dynamics 365 CE, and we have registered the Azure Bus connection in the plugin registration tool, and we have added a step over there on the case entity, on a create of a case and also on the update of a case. So whenever the user triggers action in the Dynamics 365 CE, so this message will be sent it to the Azure Service Bus queue, and we have created a queue in the Azure Service Bus for both the ways, for the inbound and also for the outbound. So this complete message will be pushed into the queue. Once the message is pushed into the queue, and we have Azure web job, that web job will run every 5 minutes once, and it will look for the new message created in the Azure bus. So once the new message is there, this Azure web job will read that message, and it will try to create the record in the third party IBM Maximo tool. And this, the complete thing, it is there in the other Microsoft Azure cloud, the Azure bus. In the inside the Azure bus, we have created a queue, and this web job, the Azure web job also we have configured within the Microsoft Azure cloud platform. So
Okay.
once the, yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, sorry to stop you. So I'm just curious how you are handling the errors and if there is any failure, how you are doing the retries here.
Yeah, sure. For this, we have a separate engine called persistence. With the help of this persistence, we are handling all the complete error mechanism. So what we are doing is like this Azure web job, it will try to fetch the new message from the queue, and it will try to create in the IBM Maximo tool. Sometimes this IBM Maximo tool might be down, or some internet connection failure will be there. So in that case, what we are doing is like whenever it gets failed, we are persisting that record into an Azure SQL database. So that's the reason here from the web job in the catch block, we are persisting that record into Azure SQL database. And for this one, for this retrying mechanism, we have created a separate Azure web job that will try to pick the record from this Azure SQL database, and it will try to create the record back into the IBM Maximo tool. It will check for the record whether it is created or not. If the record is not created, it will try to create that record into the system. And if not, again it will fail, and it will increase the count into the Azure SQL database. Here we have a flag called retry count, and that retry count will be incremented each and every time. And we are retrying it for 5 times. If it takes 5 times, then we are sending the notification to the admin saying that this particular case is not synced with the IBM Maximo tool. This is the persistent logic which we have built to handle the error handling mechanism.
Perfect. I think this looks solid. So just a basic question here. So you said how the IBM Maximo is exposed here? Is it an API or like?
Yeah, they have given the web service, and that web service is IFT deployed, the internet facing deployment. They have, yeah, so that is accessible from the Azure Web Job.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And also, once the record status is updated into the IBM Maximo, so once the record is created or updated into the IBM Maximo tool, and we do have a flag in the Dynamics 365, and the flag will be updated from the Azure Web Job, saying that this record is successfully migrated into IBM Maximo tool.
Makes sense. Perfect.
So in the similar way, we are doing the inbound integration also. So whenever the user triggers an actions in an IBM Maximo tool, so the IBM Maximo will generate the JSON and it will push it to the queue in the Azure Service Bus. And similarly, we do have a similar kind of Azure Web Job, and that it will try to read the message from the queue and it will try to create the record into the Dynamics 365 CE. And in case of failure, we have built the same persistent logic for this inbound operation also. The same thing. So if it fails, we are persisting the record into the Azure SQL database, and it will try to retry. It will retry to create the record in the Dynamics 365 for 5 times. If it exceeds 5 times, then we are sending the notification to the admin, and yeah. And if it succeeded, then we are sending the updated value to the IBM Maximo tool, saying that this record is successfully created into Dynamics 365 CE.
Perfect. So just I have one more question here. Sorry. So is your Dynamics 365, is it on-prem hosted or is it online hosted or is it like a IFD hosted?
It is an on-premise one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Right. So I believe whoever wants to build an integration, whoever wants to build an integration between IBM Maximo and Dynamics 365 Power Platform in future, I believe this is going to be really helpful for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So not only the IBM Maximo tool, this can be replaced with any other tools actually. Now in our scenario, we have used the IBM Maximo tool, and in future, some other people, they will get a requirement to use some other the integration, the tool. So they can plug in whatever the tool they want. They can plug in over here, and they just need to expose the web API to the Azure Web Job, and the web job will use that web API, and it will create the record into the IBM Maximo tool.
Yeah, I mean, Dharani, an important thing here. So if I'm not wrong, this particular architecture that you have built, I don't think it's just limited for the IBM Maximo. I think it should fit any ticket management system, isn't it?
Exactly, Jiva. So as of our scenario, our intent is to go with the IBM Maximo tool. But whereas in future, if any person, if they are getting the requirement to use it with any other ticketing tools, ticketing system tool like ServiceNow or like the AM system, so they can just replace this IBM Maximo with that particular third-party tool, and they need to expose their web API or the web service to this Azure Web Job, so that this architecture will work for the other systems too.
Exactly, because ServiceNow is quite famous and it's used in many organizations. So I think this is quite straightforward. Like you can just replace that IBM Maximo part here with the ServiceNow APIs, and there you go. You are ready to go with that one, right? Yeah. Brilliant. I mean, I just love this, Dharani. If you don't mind, could you please just show some data or some screens, and if possible, I don't know whether it is possible now.
Sure. I will just will show how the data flows from the CRM into the Azure Service Bus queue, and I will quickly show the basics of how we have built the Azure Web Job, all those things. But I'll be able to show just the basics of it. I'll not be able to show the end-to-end complete demo over here.
No, that's perfectly fine. That's perfect. Yeah. I know it's not possible. It's impossible literally to show the overall stuff. Just to get a glimpse of how it looks behind the screen will help the viewers to match the whatever is there in the architecture diagram in the in the system. Yeah.
And also one more thing I wanted to pitch, one more point I wish to add it over here. Earlier, the CRM, it was completely a Dynamics CRM on-premise, and now we have got a requirement to change this Dynamics CRM on-premise to Dynamics 365 online. So we just migrated from the on-premise to online, and this integration piece still it works fine.
Perfect.
So I will quickly start with the Azure services, what we have used. This is the portal.azure.com. So over here, we have created the service bus. In the service bus, we have created our queue. And this is our service bus. So in the service bus, we have created our queues. So you will be able to see our active message queues here. So the KL integration demo is the service bus name, and over here we have the queues here, and we have two queues. One is for the Dynamics 365 CE, and the other one is for the IBM Maximo. One is for the inbound, and the other one is for the outbound. So if I click on this Dynamics 365 CE, so we'll be able to see how many the active messages in the queue and how many scheduled, how many did later transfer. All those details we'll be able to see it over here. And let me quickly go back to the app service, and in the app service only we have created the web job, and here is the web job for both the inbound and the outbound operations. So one is for the Dynamics 365 CE to Maximo, and the other one is for the Maximo to the Dynamics 365 CE. So what we have done is like, so once the queue is created into the Azure portal, then in our plugin registration tool, just we have created our endpoint. So here we have our new service endpoint. Here you need to copy the connection string. This connection string will be available over here. So if you go to the service bus namespace, here you can see your SAD access policies. So if you open the SAD access policies, here you will be able to see your connection string. So here it will be displayed. So you can copy your primary connection string, and you need to feed in your primary connection string. Once this is done, then it will be created like this. So once this is done, then you need to configure your step. In my case, it's like an incident create. I have added it, create incident, and the event handler is nothing but IBM Maximo, the service plus endpoint. Then I have kept it on the post operation and also in the asynchronous mode. Whenever the case gets created into the system, it will generate the JSON and push the JSON into the queue, the Azure Bus Service queue. So I will quickly create a case in my system. So I will just feed in the basic information like case title and the customer. And if I save this one, and if I go back to Azure Service Bus, and if I go to my queue, this is my IBM Maximo. And here we'll be able to see my active messages here. So here currently the 4 messages are there. So this works in either way. The similar way, like whenever the record is created into an IBM Maximo tool, it will push one message into the other queue, which I have created for the inbound operation. Once the message is inside this queue, so my web job, it will trigger and it will pick that message, and it has a web service, and it will try to hit this web service, and it will pass the necessary JSON file, JSON data, and it will create the record into the third-party system. This is how it works. So these are the 2 web jobs which I have created actually. One is for Dynamics 365 CE to Maximo, and the other one is for the Maximo to Dynamics 365 CE. Once the message gets pushed into either queue, and this web job, it runs 5 minutes once, and it will try to fetch that message, and it will try to create the record into the third-party system. That's all I wish to show it for the demo today. So yeah. Once again, thanks a lot, Jiva, for inviting me for your series. Thanks a lot.
Wow, it's a wonderful use case, Dharani. It's a very common use case in service industry, I believe. Integrating with ticket management system and Dynamics 365, a Power Platform in that case. So I'm sure it is going to be helpful for the viewers, and it's such a pleasure again to have you today. Thanks, Dharani. Take care and stay safe.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Jiva. Thanks once again for inviting me for your series.
Thanks, guys, for watching today's episode. I am sure the use case shared by Dharanidharan might have given you a brief understanding of integrating IBM Maximo or any ticket management system in that matter with Dynamics 365 Power Platform. If you have any interesting integration use cases like this with the Dynamics 365 Power Platform within the Microsoft Suite or with any third-party applications, and you would like to share it to the world, leave it in the comments, or you can reach out to me in social media. And see you in the next episode with a different use case. Thank you once again. Please do like the video, share if it's interesting. Also check the other video contents in the Let's Integrate video series and subscribe to my channel if you haven't.